Cool.
So I want to introduce you. I love this because this is what we do as national marketing directors. We serve each other because we really believe in the one team, one mission. So Cindy and I both did their noon call that they do with their team. And here they are coming on our team to inspire us tonight. And this is Doug and Sharon Farrar. If you want to hit the view and put it on speaker, you'll be able to see them up close when they get to their chance to share. They are both national marketing directors, recently moved from South Florida to North Florida in the Jacksonville area with 2 of their 3 kids. Their other child is in the Army in Hawaii, and they have been married for 28 years. Is this your anniversary like tonight?
This week.
No, this Saturday night, big night.
This week. Okay. They were both educators with graduate degrees pursuing careers in the school system when they found this incredible virtual franchise 21 years ago. I'll be celebrating my 20th anniversary this October. So we're right there. We've always been kind of tracking alongside of each other. Mm-hmm. They've worked this business together. They're currently 50 Club. They've been nominated for 2 Elton Awards, and they were recent winners of the Trip of a Lifetime coming up in 2022. I'm a little jelly belly over that one. They believe love and servant leadership is the way to run their business and totally enjoy the lifestyle it has provided for them. Thank you and welcome to our team.
Thank you, Loretta.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, we're super thrilled to be here tonight. And I loved hearing all those congratulatory announcements and celebrations. You guys are rocking.
Can I get tuned in on your channel?
Can you go ahead, Doug? You'll have to mute everyone. I can't do
I'll
that
take
either.
Care of it.
Answer her question.
Sorry about that.
So I'm Sharon and this is Doug, and we're excited to be here tonight on, is it Team Rock? What is your team name?
We Rock Team, but we've got all kinds of teams. Cindy's the Joy Mentors, and we've got Team Share Your Heart,
I love it.
Sugar Heart.
I mean, cute. You can feel the culture of your team just in the opening.
Love
just
it.
About celebrating and honoring people. I love the vibe. You guys are awesome. And I love the music starting it.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Every week.
Very exciting. Way to go, Loretta. Like Loretta said, we've been tracking, on the same path pretty much all these years. So it's great to be on here with you, Loretta. So I'll just go ahead and start because I know we're limited in time. I was introduced, we both were introduced to Juice Plus 21 years ago at a baby dedication. And so it wasn't the perfect sharing even. My friend Julie Herbst, which I'm sure you guys know, and Doug's lifelong friend Joel, they were at our baby dedication and we went to dinner, and she was barely mentioning Juice Plus as we were leaving. I'm like, what? Because anything she was doing, I wanted to know about it. She's like, oh, I put something in your bag. I'm like, okay. So I got a tape and it said, the title was, "You're not overweight, you're just not tall enough." So I'm like, what is this? Anyway, it was a personal trainer, and it was a great tape, but I was like, what are you trying to say, Julie? Anyway, so finally she did tell me about Juice Plus. She was very excited. So as we're going through, we're gonna share with you some nuggets. Very excited. She nods a lot and she's like, it's got all your vitamins and minerals and everything you need, and it's Jetsons come to life, just like Loretta's got you guys pumped tonight. She was excited, and I start nodding also, sign me up. Okay, so that's your rule number 1, be at least 10% more excited than you usually are. So she was excited. I signed up, both of us. She actually came to our house, showed us everything. So I didn't really know what we were signing up for, but she showed us everything. And then she said, and why don't we share this together with other people? And maybe one day we'll be able to stay home with our kids. Well, I thought it was like rebate money, $20 here, $20 there, whoop-de-doo. I just had my perfect job. I had just gone back for a second master's degree. So I was a high school guidance counselor. So I was like, okay, I thought it was just fun money. And I started sharing though, because I really was learning a lot from those audios with the doctors, and it was great. So I just started sharing a little bit. I got a great customer base, went to some of his school events like Weight Watchers and the football game, stuff like that, shared with his co-workers, shared with my co-workers at the high school, and really got started with my friends and family though. So that's the very first thing. You want to get yourself on all the products, and then you want to get your friends and your family on it. So at that point, you're at QSC pretty much. And it really took within the 60 days for me. And I got a really awesome team member at that point. Meanwhile, Doug is a high school assistant principal. He's supportive. He's going to take the Juice Plus, but he really wasn't involved at that point. He was just like, yeah, thumbs up.
Well, I did have some concerns that she had just earned her second master's degree. There were student loans. You know, we had two small kids, right?
Mhm.
And it's like she's thinking she's not going to go work. I'm like, wait a minute, what'd you get the master's degree for? You know, so some of our talk tonight will be a little bit of like advice for spouses
Mhm.
and relationships and how that works together. So that was my first, like, it was a little bit of a red flag, but I was nevertheless, you know, I mean, I want her to be happy. So she was having fun with Julie doing their thing, but I was kind of thinking, well, you know, we'll see how this goes, but eventually you need to go back to work.
Right. I mean, that was pretty much the thought, is I was going to go back to work at kindergarten, you know, or we didn't really even name it, but it wasn't like I was going to get to stay home with the kids forever. Right. Especially because we always thought you go to school, you get a job, pretty much you're there the rest of your life. That was pretty much what was going to happen. That didn't end up what happened. But anyway, I got a second really great team member at a trade show. So I had the very first one. I had a bunch of ones that didn't really, you know, do a whole lot, didn't want to do a whole lot. And then the second one did. And that's when I first started doing wellness presentations. Now, just know that I kicked and screamed before doing that. So sometimes you're going to have hurdles where you're like, I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable. Well, it took me a while to get comfortable, but you have to like figure out, how can I reconcile this for myself? So for me, I realized I didn't have to be an expert. I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to talk about the things Julie talked about. I had to make it my own. And so that made me feel better. And putting in the doctor after me, that sealed the deal. So if you are going to do a presentation and you're uncomfortable, just lean on the doctors, you know.
What do you mean?
By putting in a video or
There
a
you go.
DVD,
So
or
you
yeah,
just play
that's
the
what I meant.
video.
Yeah, I played the video. You have the doctors in your pocket, so you really don't need to know everything to get started and to even build the business. You have to rely on the resources. So we got to about well, first off, we got to where I was paying the mortgage, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm paying a mortgage. And
I was
then
impressed with the car payment.
then he
though.
was on board. At
Oh,
that
yeah.
point, I
The
was allowed
mortgage
out of
changes
the
everything,
house.
yeah. I mean, what do you mean you're allowed out of the house?
When you have
Well, I went
two
from
babies in a row.
Well, I would call it going
know.
from supportive
ahead, yeah.
to like actively supportive. Like I got vision.
Right,
See,
actively supportive.
like it
That's
says
true.
in the Bible, without vision the people perish. You know, like
Yes.
I had no idea what was really happening, and I just thought it was going to be kind of fun money, and she wasn't going to use her master's degree. But then she made the car payment, then she made the mortgage payment. And I'm like, wait a second, you know, like what's the deal here? You know, so the Comma Club really does make a difference, and it really is about vision and getting yourself empowered. You know, like I know early on she was nervous about doing presentations, she didn't want to do it, and then Amy Getz suggested, because she's a learner, that she learn about some of the research studies. So she started digging in like it was a master's project or something, and she learned the research, and all of a sudden she felt like empowered and she got bolder, and it was really really cool to see. So I think I was just saying this on our lunch and learn with our team today. Like at some point, if you want to move forward, I know we don't want this to be like a regular job or a real job, which is real. I mean, this is better than a real job, but there has to be a point where you do go to like staff development and you learn about the research. You know, learn a little bit of the research. You know, what about the compensation plan? Learn a little bit of the compensation plan. You'll be surprised how much that will empower you and make you more bold in talking to people too.
I do love that. There were those empowerment times. It was memorizing the research brochure we had back then, and then practicing the wellness presentation by myself. You can do it on Zoom now. You can download it from the freedomrevolution.com under training and events. Download it, pick out the slides that you want or don't want, figure it out, and then get on your own Zoom and practice and record. And that way, even if you never do a presentation, at least you've done it with yourself and you know like all the ins and outs and the whys of, you know, the whole stream of what makes sense with Juice Plus. So anyway, so the presentation is absolutely empowered. and also learning the research. I felt like I could talk to any doctors, any chiropractors, and there was no one who was going to tell me anything. So I love that song. Ain't nobody going to tell me nothing. Okay. So you have to get to that point where your belief is that strong where ain't nobody going to tell you nothing. Okay. I don't talk like that, but you can in your own mind. You're like, So you got to be that confident. You got to be that bulletproof. So over time, I just did more presentations at the home or out at doctor's offices, things like that. I decided to coach myself more because I really did want to move from mortgage payment to staying home with the kids and this being a significant income where I didn't have to go back to work. So I decided to be really committed. So there has to be a point where you decide to commit. I am going to make this work. I am going to make thousands of dollars a month and nobody's going to stop me. So I started to really take it serious as a business. And so as you're learning to take it as serious as a business, you have to coach yourself. So like we're in the summer season. So how can I coach myself to be where the people are that I want to meet? For the school season, it's like, okay, instead of going around the little circle and dropping my kid off, I'd make sure I got out of the car and met people. I was more intentional. If I went to an event, I would get there early, stay late to talk to people, things like that. And so also we bought, when I listened to a goals call, which you always want to plug into whatever calls you can, I realized that I really don't build for myself as much, but I love gifting others. So when the lady on the call said, think of a great reward for when you get to a certain position. And the position I was looking to get to eventually was QNMD, Qualified National Marketing Director. And she said, figure out what you would want at that position. So I wanted to buy him his car that he wanted.
You should go to more of those calls.
Yeah. And so anyway, it was a GT Mustang. So I figured out that it'd probably be like a $500 more payment. And I put on a little sticky note just the amount that I needed and had that on my wall, just to encourage me that when I get there, we're going to buy him his car. He was definitely all in after that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, money talks.
Yeah. So he loved that. And he actually put a sticker
Powered by Juice
Plus.
Yeah, I always kept that on there. I sold it with that sticker on there. But Sharon said how she became all in. Like you got to be committed to your business. I know there's a lot of people, and you guys understand the philosophy. Whether you do a little or a lot, you're a blessing, and you're welcome on the team. But the thing that I find interesting is there's a lot of people that want to grow this bigger, that would like to make a national marketing director or get benefits or make a certain dollar amount, but they still kind of struggle. The struggle usually isn't with the system or the products or things like that. The struggle is really about managing ourselves. So I heard a really cool thing from Grant Cardone, and he talked about being committed. So either there's people that are interested, people that are committed. That's good to be committed. But being committed, like there's people on this call right now, there might be people on here that are committed enough to be on the call, but they're not fully committed. And that's what Grant Cardone talks about. He's talking about being fully committed. Almost another way to say it is like all in, being all in, and really just not letting yourself down. Because in this business, it's so easy to go 100 miles an hour and then, we lose our momentum. And it's like so hard to start over with that momentum. So really think about that and think about what it means to be all in and think about the future, visualizing the future and what it's going to be like when you're an NMD or when you make a certain amount of money, what you're going to do with it, whether it's buying me a car or it's leaving, never going back to that day job or being able to send the kids to a certain school. That's stuff that's all just so important. Now, I will say as a spouse, at first I was accepting and I know there's some people that have trouble because maybe their spouse gives them a hard time about the business or the products or whatever. And what I found is really helpful, and I'll give you guys this advice. Sometimes, as a guy, like I want what's best for her. So when she brings home a product, all of a sudden I go into guy mode, like I'm her protector, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, is this a scam? Is this weird? Is this sketchy? Is this a pyramid scheme? Let me do my research, as if my research is better than like the published research or something, right? but it's kind of like a guy thing. And it's important for what can really make a difference is as a spouse, you just say, hey, I wanted to do this. Like, I enjoy it. Oh, you enjoy it. I don't have to protect you. You're going to have fun and it makes you happy. So I think sometimes I notice people like argue with their spouses and try to prove them wrong. And I'm not sure that's the right approach. Sometimes the right approach is to just say, hey, I want to do this. Just like your spouse probably has some things you think are like silly or something. And then let them do it. But over time, they're going to see the success that you're having. Our dog wants to be on here. They're going to see the success you're having. And that's what happened with me, especially when I went to conference. Now we have conference coming on, and I would be foolish if I didn't encourage everybody to be registering for conference coming up in October in St. Louis. That was like literally a life changer for me. Sharon was making national marketing director, and I went to support her, and I didn't know anything about the Juice Plus company. I was barely taking the products at the time. I may or may not have been a rep, but I know at one point she even canceled my distributorship because I guess I wasn't a good enough team member. But I got it back now and I made an MD, so that's good. But so I went to conference. I thought it was going to be a couple hundred people in a room. They give her a plaque and that's about it. But the vision I got from being there and experiencing it and seeing all you crazy Juice Plus people there, meeting doctors and pharmacists and chiropractors and truck drivers, you name it, everybody was there. And it was such a beautiful community. And I learned so much and I got vision. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, this is so legit. It's amazing. So I started getting more involved after that. And it's just been an amazing ride. Amazing ride.
Yeah.
Why don't you give some tips? Because we only have like 5 minutes
Okay,
left.
so persistence and consistency are very, very important. You have to set the timer and make yourself work. Like if you're home, it's easy to do something like this. It's easy not to do it. So you have to really make yourself, you have to have a vision for this will be something for the rest of my life and in our future that's going to pay off for us. There's exponential growth. It's residual income past the point of sale. You couldn't be in a better place, obviously. So it's absolutely worth investing as much time and effort as possible, being very consistent in it and always staying by the campfire. We call it plugged in so that you keep motivated so that then you feel, it's like when you charge up your cell phone, it can only last so long. Well, when you go out into the world and you try to talk to people about Juice Plus and they're not on the same page as you're going to get drained. You've got to be with your team and get that, extra growth and belief. So anyway, and just, I was going to say something else.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave a hand signal.
He gives me like this signal.
We have these
and
signals.
The dog is actually chewing on me. So I'm sorry. But he wants something bad. I don't know what it is. Also, people with children. I love that Doug, I didn't like it at the time, but I was like, okay, I really want to do this. And he's like, well, you better get 5 babysitters in your cell phone.
Well, I had a lot going on.
He had a lot going on. He was an assistant principal and he was gone a lot.
Well, and I was striving towards principal and all that.
Yeah, he was right. And so that really gave me the green light, though, to really do this, So have those talks with your spouse and say, I want to be able to do this bigger, and they'll give advice. I also did like getting advice from him throughout the journey. And then he came on the team so he could give advice to everybody, which was great. And it's always very practical advice. And you might not want to hear it because they're not like in the trenches and knowing what's going on. But it's logical and it's business. And so always relying on your spouse to bounce things off was really helpful. And then he's really good at that. Yeah.
Well, I think the advice hasn't changed that much. And now I am in the trenches. So I think it's some simple things, like personal growth is key. It really is, because you have to, it's a level playing field. We all have the same product. We all have the same marketing plan. Like Jim Rohn says, it's not the setting of the sail. It's not the blowing of the wind. It's the setting of the sail. It's how we adapt in life. So we have to look at ourselves. John Maxwell calls it a mirror moment, where we look in the mirror and we honestly assess, like, where am I lacking? Why am I having trouble bringing on team members? Why am I afraid in conversations? why am I more comfortable sharing the product than the business? Little things like this. And then, a lot of times people throw out, oh, personal growth. You have to be growing, personal growth. Well, I mean, it's like medications. Not everybody should take the same medication. It depends what disease you have, right? So in the same way, personal growth is you have to get the right personal growth materials for what you need, the areas you need growth in. So that's where your mentors and your buddies and your core group of people where you can say, hey, what can I get better at? What should I be reading? Ask Loretta. She'll tell you what you should be reading.
Yeah.
What should I read? And then I'll tell you what. I mean, still to this day, if like Julie and Joel Herbst are reading a book, sometimes I don't even want to read the book. Like if Julie is all excited about a book and I'm like, I know I'm not going to like this book. I know the author. I know I don't like it. I'm still going to check out the book because she's successful, and success leaves clues. One of those clues is the personal development. So make sure you're growing into who you need to be in order to make the promotions or get to the position that you want to be in. What's your last best advice you can give people?
Oh gosh. Go out and get them. The 40 conversations list is good if you haven't listened to that with Lisa Radici.
So good.
Just, talking to people. It's a juggling game. If you haven't figured that out, you got to juggle a lot of conversations. It's not like go from point A to B, done. It's, it's like the long road. Sometimes people sign up right away. Sometimes they don't. So you've got to juggle conversations. So always having like a list of people that you're in conversation with and making yourself have conversations, getting out of the house, going to Toastmasters if you have to, or networking groups or trade shows to expand your warm market so that you're not always thinking about those 5 to 10 people that you always think about, so that would be my advice.
Yeah. And my final advice is to always stay connected. Like Sharon said, we call it the campfire. So as leaders, we're always trying to create a situation where there's a great campfire and that people are hanging around and just a part of what's going on and able to stay connected. So make sure you do that. And also make sure you're leading your people, because each of you on here, I mean, most of you probably have some team members and they might not be on this call tonight. So I think if you want to think about building like a massive business, your biggest job is to rally those troops, keep them connected. The people that like they have maybe 3 or 4 customers and they tend to not come on any events or anything, still reach out. We call it a love tap. Just reach out and say, hey, there's a special guest on the team call tonight. Why don't you check it out? I think it's going to be really good. And if they don't make it, at least you still talk to them and they still feel excited and wanted. So keep on pursuing people, loving people, and just serving people and being diligent and connected, and you will go far. You can't help it because we have the best product, the best marketing plan. You're on Loretta Koeth's team. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
The greatest.
All right. Thanks, Loretta.
That's awesome. You want to hit the record button, Doug, or you want me to go ahead and wrap up and then hit it?